Hate him or love him, I guess he's the king of Miami now. Dan, what do you think?
What? Nah, I don't think about that. Yeah, I guess we'll usually have a little yarn before we start the show. We just both answer the call should we just jump into it? Should we? It's like ripping off a band-aid. Let's just rip it off, get into the show, feel it, embrace it, and then we can just embrace it. We'll embrace it all together. You know what I mean? It's better to
For
have
real.
friends around you. I feel like the loss was my own. That's how I'm genuinely taking it.
Yeah, it seemed like you were extremely emotionally invested in this fight with Jorge, with the links back to Miami and the backyard fighting and all of that good stuff. Yeah, it didn't really go any different than most people expected, right? Most people expected Colby to go in there, strike with him when he needed to strike, take him down, and try to maul him. And basically, that's what happened. You know what I mean? Like throughout the whole fight, except for maybe I think in the fourth round, Masvidal clipped him, and Colby dropped to the knee, and he got up and he smiled at him. I always wondered when a
With the
fighter
chair
gets
jumper.
dropped. Yeah, when the fighter gets dropped and he gets up and he smiles, like, is that does that mean that they're hurt? Because you hear the commentators like, "Oh, he's hurt because he's smiling." I'm like, I don't know if you're hurt and you smile.
Um, Depends. Like it's difficult. There was another fight like that. Also the Oliveira Holland fight where they one hurt the other. I think Holland hurt him and he wobbled back and then he just rushed in too quick. And then Oliveira hurt Holland back, and then he starts backing up. So it's like that can be the wrong thing because you need to understand that a fighter is at their most dangerous when they're hurt. Because if I'm hurt and I'm tired and I'm about to get taken out of the fight, and you rush in to finish me, whatever opportunity that I get, I'm gonna go all in on, right? Like if I if I'm hurt and you rush me, it's like when you corner a rat. Like he's gonna go 100. He's gonna go all in on that one shot. So it can be like that's when fighters are their most dangerous is when they're hurt. Like that's when they're the most dangerous. But yeah, it didn't look like Colby was that hurt by the shot. He pops up. Generally, it's worse when someone pops up and then they just jump on the back foot. They're just like disengage, disengage, disengage. That's like a more telling sign that someone's a bit more seriously hurt.
Yeah, and everybody thought that was the opportunity for Masvidal to go in there and try to get the finish, but he was exhausted at that point, man. I think even after the fight, when he was talking to Joe Rogan, he said that it's just his wrestling wasn't on point, which kind of means like his cardio wasn't on point. It seems like it just wasn't there. Sometimes you fall flat, right? And in a fight, sometimes you don't go in there. You could go in there 100%, but once you step into the cage, it could turn into something else. And maybe that's what happened to Masvidal in here. You know what I mean? Because they, like you said, you remember last week you were talking about how they have hours and hours of training together, where it's like you kind of know what each other is going to do, right? Not much is going to be changing, and it just seemed like Colby just went in there and effectively implemented his style and won the fight. It was dominant, man. I felt like it was dominant. It wasn't like massively like damaging like the co-main event, but it was dominant, and Colby did his job. You want to hear a funny fact? The last three opponents Colby has beaten have all been his former training partners at America Top Team. Robbie Lawler,
Yeah, I've heard
Tyron Woodley.
it's a bit like that. It's like a bit of a Shark Tank when you get in there. Like if you just show up, because I was thinking about it when I was younger and I was
Mm,
gonna head over to the States to train. I was having a look at all of the different gyms and just seeing what would be the right fit. And I think originally I wanted to go to American Top Team just because there were so many fighters there. But then talks to guys that had been then come and gone from there, and they pretty much told me if you're a younger guy coming in, it's like a sink or swim kind of thing. Like
mm.
you show up at American Top Team, and you'll just get used as a body, right? Say a bigger name fighter has a fight coming up, they'll just kind of pick you out of the group. Oh, he's fighting orthodox guy, 6 foot. Oh yeah, he's orthodox 6 foot. We got this new kid. Throw him in. He can do a couple rounds with this big name fighter. Oh, like not knocking the gym. Like there's a like definitely like a working setup that they've got there. But I just heard about like guys like Hector Lombard just like ending numerous young fighters' careers. Like they'd throw him in, like a new guy would show up to the gym, they'd chuck him in with Hector Lombard, and Hector Lombard would just melt these kids and knock them out and hurt them so bad that it would actually shorten their careers and stuff like that. So yeah, after I kind of heard that, I was like, well, I don't just want to be used as cannon fodder. You know what I mean? I'd rather go to a place that wants to work with you and has a bit more of a team environment. That'd be the best thing.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why. I've heard the same thing from people about Hector Lombard, like back in the day. I don't know if he's like that now, but back in the
Oh, I
day,
got
like he
some.
was.
I got a lot of Hector Lombard stories. Like the guy's a different beast, man. Like he's just a different weapon. Because he's fought on. We used to fight in Australia because he was originally
Oh,
living.
that's right.
He was originally living in Australia. So before he was in, even fighting in, I think he'd had a couple of fights in Bellator and stuff. But they flew him over to fight in AFC, and then I was the lightweight AFC champion. So we fought on a couple of cards together. And yeah, intense guy. Like I went over to corner my mate, Rod McSwain, and we went over there, and we were at the bakery across the road from a gym, and we just heard like yelling. Just the gym was across the street on the second floor up, and we just heard like like yelling, and we're just like, man, what's that? That's weird. Like got something to eat at the bakery, walked into the gym because that's where we were going for the weigh-ins. Go upstairs, like Hector Lombard's hitting pads, and he's just like throw a combination, just go like scream like you're the best, like scream like another combination like you're the fastest in the world, another combination like no one hits harder than you, and then he's just I think he like turned to me. I can't remember what he said, and yeah, he like turned to me and he's just like, "Are you gonna be in the UFC one day or something?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, we'll see." And he's like, "Whoa, you're not gonna get with that attitude." And I was just like, "Oh shit, this dude's intense, bro." Just an intense guy. And then we went to the weigh-in, which was like at a bar, and then a guy he was sitting down getting ready to weigh in, and it was like a packed bar. A guy was standing like 3-4 feet away from him, facing the other way, talking to someone, and he just stands up and he's like, "Get the fuck away from me! You're standing too close to me!" And I was just like, "Oh my guy, like no chill, no chill. It's cool." But he did like everything. Everything he did was quick. You know what I mean? Like you go to eat. I think like at a meal with him, like that. He's down the other end of the table, but even the way that he grabs his knife, he's just like grabs his fork, like cuts his food. Like he's just everything is like fast twitch. He doesn't do nothing slow. He's got like zero slow twitch muscle fibers.
Yeah, he defected, right? In Australia, I
Defected
believe,
from
right?
yeah,
Cuba.
he that would be I think he defected at the Sydney Olympics. He come over
Yeah.
with the judo team, and then like
Yeah.
defected and stayed in Australia.
Yeah,
I think now he lives in the US.
yeah, I believe so too. But man,
Well, he's fighting
that
bare
guy.
knuckle, I think.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
fighting bare knuckle. I think
yeah.
he became the champion over there for one of those promotions. But yeah, his story is crazy, man. I would love to see like a series about his life journey, man. Imagine that,
Perfect,
just like leaving your whole family and defecting to another country, that is just
perfect, man.
insane in itself. Not many people are going through that. Um, Going back to the fight though, with Colby and Jorge, it is what it is, right? Now, where does Colby go from here? He's we knew that he was gonna scream out the biggest fight that's out there for him because he can't fight for the title. And who's that? Dustin Poirier. So, what do you think? Do you think that fight happens, Dan?
Mm, only because Poirier said and come out like he's not willing to take that fight. He's just calling out another guy that sells pay-per-views. right? And that's like another pay-per-view opportunity for him to build his brand. Like, regardless of what you think about his character, he is very aware of what he's doing and how he's trying to set it up. Like, he's still not in a position to be one of those guys to get pay-per-view points. Like, there's only a handful of guys in the UFC that are not title holders. Like, there's even a lot of title holders that don't get pay-per-view. And you can look at that as Jorge, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, I believe. And that's it. That's like 4 guys that don't hold titles that get pay-per-view points. So he called out like another guy on that list. Maybe even Nate would have been a better call out. I'm not sure. I get it. There's like the personal beef there. He gets to build his brand, and that's like another ex-teammate, which he already knows and like understands his game. But it's like it's funny the way that he's going about it, because it's working to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now we're like past the point of all the fans even buying into the character that he's putting on. I feel like the entire MMA audience can see what he's doing, can see that he's mimicking the like pro wrestling avenue of selling a fight. And I can understand it. I just don't think that's the way the sport will evolve and go long term, or even the best avenue for the sport to go and evolve. Because you can look at pro wrestling. They've been doing it for the longest time. Like that's pro wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys get on the mic and then they build a character that the fans hate. So then they walk out and then either they cheer or they boo them and they hate them. But you can look at pro wrestling. Pro wrestling's been around so much longer than the UFC, and they're, I would say, a smaller company. It's like, is pro wrestling on ESPN? Like, it's already like a smaller sport, so it's obvious that copying like that pattern, and all of us now creating characters and stuff like this and being hated just to sell fights and market fights, but that sport is not growing. Like, that's not good for the sport long term. That's good for Colby. That's good for that avenue that he's painted for himself, but it's not good like for a good way to grow the sport long term. Like, you can look at any professional sport that's out there, soccer or tennis, where there's like the highest paid athletes in the world, and they don't carry themselves like that. They don't sell themselves like that. They don't market themselves like that. It's not. That's just like my observation. These are just my own, my own kind of observations. Is that that's not how the biggest and highest paid athletes in the sport market themselves. And you can even look at those 4 guys: Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. Are any of them putting on a character? It's like, I don't believe they are. I believe that that's genuinely those guys. That's genuinely their personalities. And so that, to me, is like, that draws people's attention to a different level. Like, Colby's drawn them to here, but it's like he still can't break through to that that superstar status, that pay-per-view status where people cannot miss a fight. Like, regardless, Jorge's still going to be a big name. He could go back and do the Dustin Poirier fight.
Yeah.
He could call out Conor McGregor and fight Conor McGregor. Like, he still has pay-per-view in his future. That's just the guy he is, because people like him for who he is. He doesn't need to design some kind of character. And you can see that from what like Jorge was saying earlier on, that Jorge's getting pay-per-view and Colby's not. Like, the UFC is just like, you don't sell pay-per-views. Like, you're not going to sell this pay-per-view. So why should you get a share of this pay-per-view?
Yeah, I was looking at the odds. There was already odds out for that fight with Colby versus Dustin, If you go, there's a link in the description. You guys could go to it for CloudBet. They have the odds. Colby's at like -118 and Dustin's at +100. I feel like that's cool. You know what I mean? I don't see, as long as it's like not -500 or something crazy like that, I think the odds are fine. That fight, I think a lot of people want that fight. I think fans want that fight. I think a lot of people want somebody to go in there and knock Colby out like Usman did. I mean, that's what people want. And the thing about Colby, you mentioned the ceiling, right? He's hit his ceiling, right? But I know a way.
Well, he's
I know a
already
way
shifted
that
it. He's already shifted it. Like he shifted it to like he just just attaches his name to different things. So I saw your tweet like early on where you're just like, oh man, like who else is shouting out for the first responders and the police and
exactly.
things like that? But is it genuine?
That's the thing.
So
I don't know. It could be genuine, right? Because he does go
was
out there
he
and
was
visit the
he
military
was
and
he
first responders.
genuinely he went to the White House and shook hands with Donald Trump. Is he genuinely a Donald Trump supporter, or did he just attach that name to build his own brand? So it's hard when he's incredibly genuine cause for ungenuine reasons.
Exactly. You're right.
That with his, if he just came out and was just like, yeah, I'm scrapping it. I'm scrapping it. I'm gonna be me. Like I'm comfortable with who I am, but this is something I'm passionate about. I'm genuinely passionate about first responders. I'm genuinely passionate about all these guys and their job, what they do, the military. These guys protect and serve. Then potentially that ceiling for him rises. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does if it's genuine. But I already know another way to crack that ceiling. You know what I mean? Because it seems like he just kind of like shifted from the Donald Trump shit to like, okay, I'm gonna attach on to the first responders because it's kind of linked together. Like USA and America and defending the country and
Bulletproof,
all that stuff, right?
bulletproof, bulletproof,
Exactly. But
bulletproof.
I
It
know the
can't be
way.
attacked.
I know a way that he could become a pay-per-view star. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to release the secret right now. He
Give me the
goes
recipe.
against America. He flips it on its head and he goes against America. He just turns into the character that's like anti-American that lives in America. And then the hate will go from, let's say it's at 50 right now, it'll go to 100. And then he will be able to sell pay-per-views because people will hate him, like in their guts, like in their heart, they will hate him so much. They want him to lose. And he's going to be able to, well, you got your tinfoil hat? You got your tinfoil hat? Let's
Did
put
you
that
not
shit
see
on.
Sean? Did you not see Sean Strickland? He just stole your idea.
Oh, he
He already
did?
stole your idea. Yeah, he came out. He said something in a story, and he said that for $10 million, he will
Oh,
fight
that's right.
America. He will fight with Russia against America in the war. So we can kind of we'll use that as
Okay.
we'll use that as an experiment, and maybe Colby can sit back and use that as an experiment. I think that's gonna blow up in his face real bad. I think people are gonna like, yeah, Americans are the patriotism that they have and they show is genuine. Like
Mhm.
that's so deep. It's not like a lot of other places. I'd say it's yeah, it's different, man. It's different.
It
Like
is.
I've been at football games and hockey games and stuff like that when you play the national anthem. I was there on I was at a hockey game on Veterans Day, and just people the anthem plays, they got their hand on their heart. You look around and people are in tears. People are genuinely thought like it's just provokes emotion out of them.
Mhm.
They're just all genuinely upset, genuinely just remembering the people in their lives that are serving and stuff like that. So that could go one of two ways. That's either gonna work, or it's gonna get Colby Covington shot. There's a high percent chance. I say there's a 90% chance Colby ends up with a bullet in his back if he takes your advice.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to like send Sean Strickland and Colby Covington to go fight in the war somewhere, right? They need to do like a month tour or something to show us that they're legit. I don't know, but yeah, it's Sean Strickland is Sean Strickland. Colby is Colby. Those are two different animals, but kind of the same in a way, but not really. If Dustin doesn't fight Colby, where does Colby go? Because he kind of is in like this no man's land in the welterweight division, right? He talks about going to middleweight maybe, but I don't think we see him at middleweight. Who does he fight? You know what I mean? Like I don't.
The winner of Burns Chimaev.
Oh,
That's a
you think
chance.
so? Okay.
Maybe if Chimaev wins, he'll probably. When is that? When are they going back to Abu Dhabi? Like when's that scheduled? Because that
Oh,
has
that Chimaev. The Chimaev fight is
not the Chimaev fight. I know he's fighting Burns pretty soon. Like that's not too far away. But when is the UFC going back to Abu Dhabi? When is the UFC going back to
they
fight?
haven't scheduled anything for Abu Dhabi.
They
Nothing.
go in. They go in.
I
So
know you
like
might know something, some secrets.
Makachev. Man, I don't know shit. Twitter knows everything. Twitter. I've actually learned about my own fights on Twitter before. I've actually logged on to Twitter and been like rumors circulating. Dan Hooker's fighting this guy, and I was like, what? I was thinking, fuck, someone made that up. And then like that afternoon, Sean Shelby sends you a message, and he's just like with that same name and the date, and I'm just like, no shit. I was like, all right. And then it happened again, and I was like, and then I saw the thing on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I bet I'm gonna be expecting an email soon. I've seen my fight announced on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is another world, man. That's where MMA lives. You mentioned Chimaev. You know what I mean? Like I guess whoever wins between Chimaev and Burns could fight Colby. You know what I mean? That does make sense when I think about it. I'm pretty sure both of those guys, if they win, they're gonna be screaming for a title shot. But it looks like Leon Edwards is gonna get that. We just don't know when they're going
Yeah,
to
I
fight.
think it's kind of guaranteed. Yeah, I think like Leon. I think late. I know there's an event. They're going back to Abu Dhabi. There's like they have a contract agreement with Abu Dhabi, and to take it back there because he's not Muslim, but they kind of claimed him because he is Kazakhstani, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Khamzat
Chechen? Is he Chechen?
Chechen. He might be
Yeah,
Chechen.
Chechen. Yeah, maybe.
And
I don't want to get
they
that
kind
wrong.
of we'll get killed. But they kind of like group both of them together, and the Muslim fans because he's from that
Yeah.
region kind of support them. Support Hamzat quite. So I feel like if Hamzat wins, they could give him a title shot if that show goes back to Abu Dhabi. I feel like if Burns wins, then they'll go Covington Burns.
Yeah, I like either fight, you know what I mean? I'm more intrigued to be honest with Covington and Hamzat if Hamzat does get past Burns. Burns has become a different animal at welterweight, man, just a completely different fighter. But yeah, I'm intrigued by that. Actually, for the people that are watching, I'm actually interviewing Burns this week,
Oh,
so
nice.
we'll get some good stuff from Burns. I've been talking to him for a while, so he's always been pretty cool at just hopping on and for a chat. Um, yeah, so like I guess that's the future for them. Jorge, he signed a brand new deal this week ahead of the fight, which seems like has been like the newest thing to do now is like sign a new deal before you fight in a pay-per-view. Israel did it. Now Jorge did it. I guess he's gonna probably be with the promotion for a while, probably on pay-per-views. What's a pay-per-view event, that he can put on against a big name fight? There's three of them, right? There's Conor, right? There's Nate Diaz, the rematch, and
That doesn't
then
mean yeah, but that doesn't mean he's going to get pay-per-views every single fight. I don't know how his contracts.
well, I think if it's Conor or Nate, he probably would get some
Any of those
share of
guys,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Conor and Nate, he's getting pay-per-view points, but it would have to be a fighter that brings over like a certain threshold.
yeah.
You couldn't just
What is
fight
a
like a
bigger fight
random.
for you? Is it Conor or Nate for Jorge Masvidal?
Probably Conor. Probably
So
Conor,
Conor
just
just
because I don't know.
would
We
that
kind
be?
of saw how the Nate fight would play out, right?
Yeah.
Like you can say what you want to say, but he was pretty handedly beaten in that
Beaten.
fight.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. Like
It was one-sided, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
Jorge looked probably one of his best fights right there when he took out Nate in that fight, man. That was a beatdown right there. And yeah, so I guess Conor. So last week we talked about Conor and him being in the mix, and then Dan's all over the news again about that. and Conor, if he comes back, I would like to see him come back at 170. To be honest with you, like the lightweight division is pretty active to the point where, yeah, Conor is a big name. He could hop in, but I think Conor comes back from the broken leg. He fights at 170 against Masvidal, which is a winnable fight, I believe. You know what I mean? It's a competitive fight. And if he does beat him at 170, the UFC has given title fights for guys that have won in different weight classes and move to another one, right? So I could see that kind of happening in the future. Why not? Why not do it that way?
Could. I think Conor gets a title shot off RDA. I feel like he beats RDA, he gets the title shot.
Mm-hmm.
Without
so
a
you
doubt.
think RDA could fight Conor next?
I think just because of the backstory that's there as well, like they were set to fight. RDA is like a former champ. They can show how it all played out from the last fight, like tie it together. It's a big fight. It's a big fight. I feel like that fight is marketable for sure. Like it's a fight that's supposed to happen, and Conor fell through. And that's also that if Conor, if the timing doesn't work for a title shot, because they just announced Gagey Oliveira, correct?
They did.
May?
Yeah, May
8th or something.
Mm-hmm. May, and then 274 is going to be, I think 274 is in May, and then 273 is in April. Yeah, next month. So yeah, May is 274, and then 275 in Singapore. Did you see that? 275 in Singapore?
Yeah, I want to try to get on that card.
I know your whole team is probably going to try to get on that card.
Singapore is 8 hours away.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be in Singapore. If that happens in Singapore, it's just a rumor right now. But I've heard from multiple sources now that it is going to be in Singapore. I will definitely be at those fights. That is going to be easy. For me, it's like 6 hours flight. Nothing. 8 is nothing when you're flying all across to the US, man, on those 14 hours.
Close my eyes, open my eyes. It ain't flying 14 there and then 14 to London, I'll tell you that much. 8.
Yeah.
8 is a cakewalk. But nah, that'll be good. That'll be good to get on that Singapore card. And it's Yuri and Glover.
And then Shevchenko is on there too.
Oh,
2 titles.
2 titles.
Yeah, that's a big card. That's a big pay-per-view. I can't miss that. You know what I mean? Thank you guys for watching the video to the end. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we're putting out. We got a lot of things in the works, so please stay tuned.